Hi guys, I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I'm going to show you how to make homemade tortellini. Now, tortellini is really basically when you make them fresh, like I'm going to show you today, they're really no different than like a ravioli, but it's just like a little teeny tiny stuffed pasta that I use so much. Admittedly, I buy them more often than I make them, just simply because it can be a little bit labor intensive. However, I made them a couple weeks ago and I posted a picture on Instagram and I had everyone ask to show you the recipe, or really the process. But really the reason why I'm sharing it with you today or now is because right around this time of year, at least in our Italian household, it's very custom that on Christmas Day we make either gnocchi or ravioli or some kind of homemade pasta, because you know Christmas Eve is all about seafood and Christmas Day is all about a homemade pasta dish. So for those of you who want to learn how to make them, I'm going to show you. The dough, you'll just need flour, all-purpose flour and salt, eggs, a little bit of olive oil, and some water. It's just my standard pasta dough. I love this recipe. I've used it for years and years and years, and I have a video completely dedicated to just the pasta dough if you want to use it in other ways. But anyway, a lot of families like to start off their Christmas meal with a soup, like escarole soup or Italian wedding soup, which I have recipes on my website, and you can add tortellini to that as your starter, and you make fresh tortellini, and it's awesome. I like to make mine in my food processor. You can make your dough by hand if you want to. I actually think that it works really well in a food processor, so that's why I make it this way. I always make it in a food processor, and it works out really well. To my flour and salt, I need to add some eggs and just about a tablespoon of olive oil. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pulse this until it starts coming together. And once it starts coming together, I can start streaming in a little bit of water at a time until it gets to the right consistency that I am looking for. I want to show you what you should be looking for at this stage. It looks like very coarse, kind of like sand. Perfect. Now when you add the water, it's going to start coming together. So let me just take that off and then just stream in a little bit at a time until it gets to where you want it to be. That is what you're looking for. It's a little bit sticky at this point, but that's perfect. That's exactly what you're looking for. And I'm telling you, this pasta dough works every single time. It just works perfectly every single time. And you can use it to make ravioli, which I have. You can use it to make fresh lasagna sheets, which I have. You can use it to make fresh pasta like tagliatelle, pappardelle, whatever you want. It's perfection. Okay. That looks great. I'm just going to wrap this in some plastic wrap. And I'm going to just pop this in the fridge for a little while and let it set. And that's it. And then we'll start shaping them. My dough was in the fridge for about an hour, and now we're ready to start forming and stuffing our tortellini. Now you can use whatever stuffing you want. For me, the base is always ricotta and parmigiano reggiano, and that's kind of my go-to. And then I can use them in anything that I want. I can use them in a pink sauce. I can use them in, I mean, really, literally anything. And that's my favorite flavor combination for like soups. But you can use anything in this filling that your heart desires. So all I have is some good ricotta, parmigiano reggiano freshly grated. I'm going to just mix it together briefly. I'm not going to really worry about it right now. Oh, it's going to be so good. And then I have a baking sheet, which is a little bit of cornmeal on it. Not much. You can use semolina if you want to. This is a biscuit cutter, a 3-inch biscuit cutter, which is what I use to cut my little tortellini. I need a little bit of flour in my pasta machine. Now I know some people will ask me if they can if they can do this without a pasta machine, and of course you can. It's just that to get the pasta to the thinness you need it, like the thickness, it is virtually impossible for me to do it without a pasta machine. So if you can do it without a pasta machine, then more power to you, and by all means go ahead and do it by hand. I just know that I can't roll out my pasta dough without my pasta machine. So all I'm going to do is cut this into 8 pieces. Then you take each piece, you try to just shape it into a bit of a rectangle, like that. I keep the rest of them covered in plastic wrap so it doesn't dry out. Get my little hook on here, and now I start at the widest and work my way down. So I start at 7, which is really 6. I don't know why there's a 7 on there. And then I will go all the way down to the 2 or the 1. It depends. You just want to make sure that this pasta dough is really nice and thin. Otherwise, you're going to end up with really thick gnocchi, tortellini, which is not what you want. So now we go down a notch and just put a little bit of flour like that. Just not a lot. You see, I'm just taking my fingers and just kind of brushing it like so, just so that it doesn't stick to my pasta machine. And this dough works so well that you really will never worry about it not, shredding or tearing or none of that. At least I have never found it to be an issue. That's why it's the only pasta dough I ever use. So once you have your pasta sheet rolled out nice and thin, and you cut them out using your cutter. This is just my biscuit cutter. You lay them flat. You want to make sure that there's a little flour under them so that nothing sticks, because there's nothing worse than something sticking. But you want to just put as little as possible. And then I put my filling in a piping bag, and then you just do about that much. I'll say about half a teaspoon for each one. And then I'll show you how I form them. Not sure if this is the correct way to do it, but this is how I've always seen it done in my family. So I just put water on half of the edge, seal it like that. You want to make sure that there's no air bubbles. Seal it, and then you fold this top back like that, and then you kind of go under and seal. And that's how you get your little tortellini. Set that right there. Now don't worry or panic if some look more wonky than others. Who cares? They're going to be delicious. And really all you need is that little fold right there, because this is what holds your sauce. This is what holds your broth or everything. And that's just kind of like the standard shape. I'll show you one more time. Okay, ready? Fold it in half like that. Okay, pinch it down. Fold this half over and then go under to seal it. See? You want me to show you again? One more? Okay, come on. We'll do one more. Water on half. Okay. Over. Seal, seal, seal. Make sure there's no air. Take the edge furthest to you. Fold it over top like that. Then you go under and wrap it around your finger, seal it, and turn it upside down like that. And that's it. I'm going to do just these 3 more. I'm going to save the rest of my pasta dough for tomorrow because I've got some more filling and I have a little bit of prosciutto I'm going to put in them. In that, I'm going to save that for the freezer because these freeze incredibly well, and anytime you're in the mood for a little broth, you pop a few of these in there, you're good to go. Now at this point, you can boil them, you can pop them in the fridge until covered, until whenever you need them. You can freeze them. The choices are endless, but what I'm going to show you now is just, I'm going to just boil some in some chicken broth, and then I'm going to put Parmesan cheese on them and eat it like that, because that's like one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. And I do want to show you what they look like when they are cooked. So I'm just going to do a little bit just for me. I like to put them in a little spider thing like so. I've got some chicken broth boiling away. This is plenty for me. They take no time at all to cook. Once they float, they are done. So I'm going to put the rest of these in the fridge and then combine them with the ones I'm going to make tomorrow. And then I'll pop those into the freezer. In the meantime, I'm going to go grab some Parmesan cheese so that I'm ready to give these a try. These are done. You can see they plump up quite a bit. Look how cute they are. How many of you have grown up eating tortellini and chicken broth with Parmesan cheese? And I know this is going to sound really weird, maybe just my grandmother, but my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, she used to put an egg in there as well, kind of like egg drop soup. She'd drop an egg right in there right before she would pull them out, just like I'm doing now. So good. I'm gonna put a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top. And that kind of melts into the broth. Oh, goodness. Smells so good. Smells like home. I want to cut one in half. I kind of want to show you what it looks like on the inside, but it's going to be really hard for you to see because the ricotta is going to just fly right out. That's okay. The texture of the pasta is perfect. It's going to be hot though. Perfect. So good. They're so light. They're so wonderful. Don't be tempted by rolling your pasta sheets too thick because you're going to think to yourself, whoa, this is almost see-through, but it has to be. Otherwise, as you can see, when I added these in, they were a lot smaller. They plump up quite a lot as they cook and as they boil. So if you start with your pasta dough a little too thick, then you're going to end up with really thick, heavy tortellini, which is not what you want. What you want are really light, airy ones. This is perfection. Go to laurainthekitchen.com to get the written recipe. Make sure you watch the video as you're making them just to kind of get the technique down of how I roll them. And then you are in business of making awesome tortellini for whatever your heart desires, any time of year, but it will really make a very special entree for your holiday table. I hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!